This might be one of the last times that you see cars waiting over here for the freight train. We do have an update on the Michael Henslick trial. Aaron Eads is reporting that the state's rebuttal is over and the jury is now off to deliberate on this. Again, he is charged with the rape and murder of Holly Cassano. The court just sent me that document after police arrested Jessica Logan last night on a first-degree murder charge. Well, you can see the street lights have been shaking. Our own van was shaking while it was parked here earlier this morning. And if you're going to be out on the road, you'll need to have both hands on the wheels today. It's been a waiting game for Clark because the storm essentially parked itself over the Bahamas on Monday. It's been a steady stream of traffic, especially in the kids area. If these were your taxes and you were expecting to get this much in return, in reality, you may have been walking away with this much. I'm pretty tired. I might need a break from reporting. I'm just kidding. I'm fine. I'm definitely not working out as hard as everyone else here. I want to come back to our live shot just to wrap this up because we were standing in this spot earlier and this was all just slush over here. Only 5 clinical facilities in the country have a 7 Tesla or 7T MRI scanner. Now, after U of I's Board of Trustees voted today, Carl and the university are about to build the 6th of its kind.
This has been a long time coming for us. We're incredibly excited for what this means for the community at the University of Illinois.
A collaboration between Carl and the Beckman Institute has been given the green light. Dr. Tracy Wazalik, the director of the Institute's Biomedical Imaging Center, says the new 7T MRI will advance critical research on brain abnormalities.
We're hoping the biggest thing that I think this kind of resolution and this kind of technology will allow us is to be able to make a diagnosis much earlier.
The new MRI will look the same on the outside, but it's what's on the inside that changes the game.
It's a stronger magnet, so it gives you better resolution, takes a better picture.
The 7 Tesla will be phenomenal images, meaning we can see smaller and smaller and smaller structures, and it will be the only one in Illinois.
At Carl, neurologist Graham Huseman says the equipment will help people with epilepsy.
In epilepsy, about a quarter of the people don't respond to any medications, and then we start thinking about looking for surgical options, taking out the part of the brain where the seizures are coming from. And the tricky part about that is finding which part of the brain.
Huseman says 1 in 22 people will be diagnosed with epilepsy.
The most devastating part about having epilepsy is really the unpredictability of it. If you have a seizure more frequent than every 6 months, you can't drive. That really limits what you can do, especially if you live in a rural area.
He says he's already taking calls from hospitals throughout the state asking to use the MRI for patients with seizures.
There's excitement not just here, but also in the whole state for this machine.
The new MRI scanner is so big that it has to be built within its space. It could take up to 18 months until it's completed. From stop and go to knit and purl, Bismarck Henning's crossing guard is giving back. Here's a look at how her lifelong hobby is warming heads and hearts. At the corner of Holloway and Chicago, Jane Kress stands guard.
Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Cody. Hi, baby.
Watching over Bismarck Henning's youngest students for roughly 25 years.
You have a great day, sweetheart. My husband will say, someone will ask us, how many kids do you have? And he'll say, we have 1, but she has 300.
Every day, she sends her kids to class with high fives, hugs, and a message.
Miss Jane loves you.
But that's not the only way she protects them. All the preschoolers are sporting brand new hats.
Jane made that.
Thanks to Miss Jane.
Let's make my ears a little bit warm.
Every hat custom made with care. What does it have there?
Every single hat is a different color, and then we put colorful pom-poms on them, and we sewed a little button with their initial on it, so each kid would be special and know how much we love them with a little heart-shaped button on the top of it.
Miss Jane's teacher, her mother.
She was easy to teach.
Who shares her love of giving back.
My friend said, how did you get into that? And I said, I volunteered.
Parents say they're grateful for this mother and daughter.
I honestly do believe that it teaches them to give back and, to put others before themselves and to be selfless.
As for the kiddos, they have their own message for Miss Jane.
Thank you.
For all that she does. I absolutely loved meeting Miss Jane yesterday, and she says it takes her roughly 1 day to make each hat. And between the pre-K kids and other students, staff, family, and friends, she thinks she and her mom have made roughly 100 hats. But they're worried that the message of support isn't reaching the people who need to hear it the most.
The police department doesn't concern itself with immigration status. We don't enforce immigration status.
Champaign's Deputy Police Chief David Schaefer wants to make it clear the department should be considered a resource for all.
We want everyone in this community to be able to trust the police and feel that we're a resource for anyone in this community if you need help.
Mayor Deb Finan says she's concerned about what's happening on a national level, but trying to focus on helping people on a local one. She says as the 2020 census approaches, she wants immigrants to feel safe coming forward.
It's really important for everyone to be counted because cities get dollars from the federal government based on the number of people here. So people need to know that they can step up and be counted and that they're not putting themselves or their families in jeopardy.
One of the city's partners is the New Americans Welcome Center at the YMCA. Its director, Gloria Yen, says she hopes announcements like these will help address fear in the community.
A lot of anxiety around, is federal immigration enforcement going to be coming into our community, and what does that mean, and how do we need to prepare in order to really make sure that individuals and families are really fully informed of their different rights and ready to protect themselves and prepare their families in that case.
Tom Garza, the president of the CU Immigration Forum, says he's glad to hear about Champaign's statement, but he's worried it's not reaching everyone who needs to hear it.
Well, the problem is that a lot of new immigrants are language challenged, so they don't watch stations like this one because they don't understand what's going on.
The city does have translations for its statements, but Garza points out that in some countries, the line between local and federal authorities is blurred.
2 and 1.
From in studio to the sidelines, Central Illinois to sports arenas across the country, Brett Behrens is chasing his dream every day as sports director, breaking news round the clock, even as he donates blood.
In 2006, I was in a really bad accident, catapulted 80 feet in the air, and working on a cell phone tower in Rochester. And fortunately, I was able to get really good medical help and ended up having a whole bunch of injuries and lost my leg as a result of it.
Brett, who was just 18 years old at the time, spent 54 days in the hospital and 13 days in a coma. He learned he received multiple blood transfusions. And after recovering, the generosity of strangers inspired him to give back as well.
Felt like that is my responsibility to give back to everyone else that may be in a predicament that was unfortunate as mine.
That's why he now donates as much as possible and has become a familiar face for lab technicians like Carol Weesey. Weesey says she's inspired by the people she meets every day at her job, like Brett.
I feel honored to work here with people that just come in and give. I'm just amazed. I had no idea before I had this job that people were willing to do this for other people they never even see. It's amazing.
Everyone is going to have a moment in their life that they're not expecting, that they're going to need help. I firmly believe that. And so for me, it's about paying it forward in that sense.
A small prick that could make all the difference. In Urbana, Jen Lask, WCIA 3, your local news leader. They'd been gathering dust in storage, but as that space is torn down, Monticello's athletic department came up with an idea to make sure they wouldn't just become a footnote in the school's yearbooks. Players, coaches, and managers alike all raced to Monticello High School's cafeteria.
My wife and I were the first ones in here,
hoping to score the hardware they'd already earned.
I saw this one, and it said the holiday tournament 1959. I had to have it.
The district had been storing them in the old Washington school.
So many times these trophies just get put away or thrown into dumpsters.
But as the school is torn down, the athletic department wanted to make sure the trophies found new homes.
These trophies are going to go in there on the shelf where they can be seen.
Age, giving the trophies a bit of rust and the people a bit of perspective.
The second place trophy, at the time I probably didn't even want to pick that trophy up that night, but today it means a little bit more to me.
And whether the trophies were won decades ago or just months ago.
Oh, it's crazy. I didn't realize there were so many from past years.
Their new owners are leaving high school as champions once again. The athletic director thinks roughly 600 trophies were brought out to be given away, the oldest dating back to the 1930s. The school also uncovered a trophy from 1927, but it plans to keep that one on display.